Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on August the 9th, 2017. I'm your host, Captain Sleepy Pants, and with me, as always, Captain Caffeine Pants.
Oh, you just introduced me, so is there any reason to say Caffeine Rage?
I guess so. On today's show, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're going to be having a mini-pod, and we will be covering Middle-earth, Shadows of War, loot boxes, and social conquest. Valve's new game, Artifact, the Dota 2 card game. We'll have our weekly community corner and our Steam Discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. And aside from the Franken episodes, this will definitely be our shortest episode ever.
That seems like a challenge.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that I'm calling it a mini-pod, and I'm saying it's going to be our shortest episode ever, and it's still going to clock in at like the average time of most podcasts, around an hour. At least that's, fingers crossed, that's what I'm going for, is around an hour.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, we're both extremely long-winded and talk about random bullshit.
We are, but I'm extremely tired and mostly just propped up by, I don't know, energy drinks and magic tonight. So... But I genuinely want to record. I missed last night, and we had a little bit of a mix-up with what we were gonna do. And
it didn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, but for everyone who's interested but doesn't follow me on Twitter or missed the tweet, my kid's fine. He came out of his surgery okay. He had a really bad reaction to the anesthesia, and was, let's just say, an unholy terror yesterday.
He had on the grumpy pants.
Yeah, he was wearing the cranky pants for sure. With pants so cranky that Rage seems like a nice guy.
Hey.
But so yeah, I'm very tired. But so we couldn't record last night like we normally do because of my son's surgery, and then we were supposed to record Sunday night. A full podcast.
But your son was sick, so I mean, it didn't matter that I was a bit mixed up to begin with, but I was thinking that your son's surgery was next week and not this week.
Yeah,
and that's just where the crux of the confusion kicked in.
Right, but you know what? That's okay. We're here tonight. We're gonna talk about a couple of news topics. We're gonna do a discovery queue, and we're gonna have generally a good time.
We're hitting the music
for the next hour or so. We're not hitting the music yet. I mean, we could skip everything, just do a discovery queue and get out of here. I'd be fine. That'd be the easiest edit ever on this show.
Yeah, but I'm not giving it to you that easy.
Fair enough. So yeah, I think we kind of reached this conclusion independently. We both had pretty shallow game lists this week, so we were just like, let's just do a couple of news topics and call it a night.
Yeah, I had interesting things. It's just not a lot to talk about.
Right.
So we'll just combine them into next week's stuff.
That's fine, because I didn't have anything really new to talk about. I played one new mobile game that was decent enough while I was sitting at the hospital, and then other than that, it was like comfort games, Mass Effect and The Division and stuff, which there's nothing new for me to talk about in those games, so yeah. It's good. It's all good. I got a couple of new games in Keymailer to play, so I'll have something new to talk about.
Yeah, going through Keymailer these days, oh dear God.
There are a cajillion Steam Direct games.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Sunday, whenever I do my big slog through it, and I go through like at least a week and a half of stuff, I usually pick out, the worst thing and I tweet it out. This week's Gaben Clicker.
I think I've seen that, actually.
You probably saw me tweet it out.
Maybe so.
Because I usually tweet out the Steam store page. Because it's one of those things, you would think I was making it up. I was making a joke, but no.
Wasn't there a Gaben Simulator game that came out a couple of years ago? Yeah.
No, this is worse.
Okay.
This is worse. You know, what the hell? I'll put it in the show notes. and I'll link it to you now.
All right, loading. What? This is terrible. This is awful.
And of course, you got to watch the trailer.
This game was clearly assembled in MS Paint.
No. MS Paint's way too high tech for this shit.
God, that's terrible.
But I do have a feeling that's why, Microsoft has removed support for MS Paint to, head this off at the curb,
Yeah.
I mean, just the awful, I use the term Photoshop as more the generic term. Cutting out of all the pictures is just hilariously bad. Oh, and this isn't even a free-to-play game. This is being sold.
God. I hope no one buys this, even ironically or as a joke. Please, no one buy this.
That's the thing, is that there's this thing going around after Bad Rats of just trying to be the next, meme, haha, joke game that you give your friends that's absolutely terrible.
Yeah. It's definitely terrible.
Not worth the ones and zeros it's printed on.
Nope. I wouldn't play it for free. If someone gave it to me, I wouldn't play it.
Yeah, same here. I do have to admit that idea of just picking a absolutely random game that I get a review key for and for a series of was Steam Direct a mistake is very tempting.
Maybe we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. Go through some of the... What did you say it was earlier? Like 1,000 games that have released on Steam Direct so far?
In the month, it's over 1,000. Last week was over 250. It's trending upwards severely. You have to remember, Steam Direct has been out for a month now, and I realize we're back to sort of the general topic that we talked about, 2 or 3 weeks ago about Steam Direct. But the first couple weeks, the first month of Steam Direct was that lull where it was only people that had dealt with Steam before or dealt with Valve before. And now we're getting to the point where anyone can go on because the waiting period's over. Well, the ones that, signed up a month ago. And that's the thing, is that a month from now, we're going to get the people that signed up now.
Yeah.
Steam Direct was a mistake. I've decided already.
Probably.
I mean, I've realized that there's probably going to be games on... Well, there are going to be games worth playing on Steam that wouldn't have gotten on Steam otherwise, but oh dear God.
More curation is always the answer that we're never going to receive an affirmative on.
Oh, well, not even more curation, but the fact that more tools to be able to sort through the shit. Mm-hmm. Because, we were talking about our going in to Game Club next month with the MMO or free-to-play game. It's not doesn't necessarily have to be an MMO. And just going through the MMO tag, because that's typically what you think with free-to-play. Either that or now the class-based shooter. And, there's a very loose definition of what an MMO is.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of games that are definitely not MMOs. They're more like what would you call your World of Tanks sort of game that just multiplayer? What?
Yeah, I would go with multiplayer.
Yeah, just free to play multiplayer games that they're calling MMOs.
Well, this is also based off of what people are tagging it. Now,
that's true.
Now, once you get to something like PlayerUnknown's Battleground, where it's 60-some players at once, then the line's starting to blur. But World of Tanks is what, 20? 20, 30? Well, it depends on your ranking, of course.
It depends on the ranking and the game mode too, because I think there's game modes that have more players and game modes with less. Yeah,
so there's that blurred line of trying to figure it out, and that's where trying to tag things can be very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, let's actually get to our first topic.
So much for this being a short episode.
Yeah. So Shadow of War, the sequel to what is it, Shadows of Mordor?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it has announced that they're going to have microtransactions via loot boxes and a multiplayer mode.
Yeah, a social conquest mode. We're kind of combining two separate topics together, mostly because they're intrinsically linked, because there's no way to separate these two. The fact that you have pay to win or pay to power makes the idea of even just an unranked mode, but this is also a ranked mode as well, online multiplayer, ridiculous. But I think we should talk about first the loot boxes because holy shit.
Yep. So, I mean, it's...
Well, they haven't announced any pricing that I can find yet. That's the thing. And it's going to be linked into two different currencies. It was gold and what was the other one? I'm looking for it here.
Was it Miriam or Mir something, I think.
Gesundheit.
Thanks.
Miriam. Yeah, good enough.
Yeah.
But essentially, one is going to be your traditional currency that you would have in the game otherwise, and gold will be your premium currency. And the premium currency could also be gotten through in small amounts, and they do say small amounts. So, you'll probably get, just a small fraction of the smallest loot chest. Through community events and different milestones. And otherwise, this is essentially a mobile game idea, isn't it? A twin currency where you buy into the same things?
Yeah. Although most mobile games only give you certain like packs or chests or whatever using the premium currency. You can't use the normal currency to buy like the top tier stuff, for example. But they're saying that you can use the normal currency to buy everything. You just have to earn it versus paying money for it.
Yeah, which I could only imagine that, it's going to be multiple times from the premium currency. Maybe I'm just being cynical on that, but, I don't see I see the premium currency being the very, very cheap way to gain power in this game.
Well, most games that implement this sort of thing are that way. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5. This seems like, maybe not a copy, but certainly they inspired by or ripped off some elements of the Metal Gear Solid 5 multiplayer system, where basically you build your base.
Yeah, which I didn't have a lot of problems with cheating at all.
Yeah, none at all. No problems whatsoever. Nothing to see here. Move along. But basically,
leave your wallet.
You build in Metal Gear Solid 5, you build up a base, and stuff that you get through the single player mode can improve your base, but you could also spend money to unlock like packs and speed up level ups and stuff like that to make your base more powerful. And then your base, you would go and assault another base and steal currency and items and things from that base. And that's what it sounds like they're describing here in the multiplayer mode, which this is kind of spilling over into that a little bit.
Yeah, on paper, the multiplayer mode doesn't sound bad to play, particularly if the base assaults are as fun as they're trying to make them out to be. The thing is, it's tainted with this microtransactions, and you can't say, well, you don't have to worry about the microtransactions if you don't want to pay for them. You could just use the normal currency, and you don't have to. You could just do the multiplayer stuff, but you're going to run into people that sunk several $100s into this game and got the highest level stuff, and that's not even counting whatever cheats are available for this game, if there are any. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. Who knows? Maybe there won't be cheats, or won't be significant cheats. So you'll just run into the whales.
Yeah.
That's
like,
not a problem, really?
It looks like their attempt to combat this is, or at least to be able to like play it off, is like, well, we've got ranked and unranked mode, and if you don't want to deal with that, just don't play in unranked mode. Or just don't play in ranked mode, because it looks like in ranked mode you can lose your followers.
That's the difference, is essentially, well, in ranked mode, someone dies, they die for reals. In ranked mode, you go in, you hit a whale, it's not that big a deal. You get whatever rewards you would get for failing, but everything resets at the end. It's just such. What the hell are they thinking on this?
Yeah. I hate this shit.
Microtransactions in general on single player game, or essentially single player games, because this isn't only just affecting the the social conquest. This is also going to impact the game as a whole. There is no way this doesn't affect the progression in the game at all.
Yeah,
if you think it doesn't, you are deluding yourself. They have to factor in a certain amount of loot chest spot over the course of a certain amount of hours played. If they don't, people that buy whatever a number of chests you could get just generally through play will be greatly overpowered, and the ones that don't will be facing the challenge of whatever the game's throwing at you. They have to factor in these loot chests in the balance of things. Otherwise, Warner Brothers is absolutely stupid.
Yeah, these are always bad. If you pay for a game, microtransactions shouldn't be in it. But there are ways that you can do it to make it less bad.
Power. Cosmetic is more of a gray area, and I've been swayed a little bit with the argument that the artists really don't have anything to do once the game is locked down, other than to create cosmetic stuff. I'm swayed a little bit, but once you start throwing in lore, heavy lore stuff, then it's starting to get back onto the bullshit route.
Yeah, where it really bothers me the most is when it's in any aspect of competitive play of a game, unless the game is free to play. If it's free to play, open season. But if I've paid something for the game and there's competitive multiplayer, I don't want there to be microtransactions in it. Cosmetic stuff, sure. I'm not too bothered by that, because it's all cosmetic. If someone wants to pay for the frilly, fuzzy, pink costume, which I've done a few times, then, more power to them. That's not affecting anybody in any way, aside from making you look pretty. But when it comes to
you have to have the crown as well to be the princess.
Oh, yeah. I've got one of those on all the time, though. But anyways.
Yeah, but you're not wearing it on your head. That's the thing.
Says you.
That's not your head.
Oh, yes, it is.
Wink. No matter how much you think with it.
But, hang on. Yes, dear? What? Should be. Okay.
Don't encourage him.
Okay.
Is Katie all right?
Okay. Okay.
Bye, Katie.
Yeah, you already told me. Oh, okay. Okay. No. I will. Later. Okay. Good night. Let me do. Yeah.
Night rage.
Bye, Katie.
Says bye.
She sounds tired.
She's very tired. She's more tired than I am, probably. She said yeah. Anyways, where was I?
Talking about cosmetic stuff in games.
Oh, yeah. Talking about my penis. Having a crown on it. Or a tiara. Anyways, so there's ways that they can do it as long as it's... Okay, so for example, Mass Effect. This is where I was going. The Mass Effect multiplayer. I don't like that it has the DLC... Or not DLC. Focus Brain. I don't like that it has the microtransactions and the premium currency and stuff that you can pay for, but it doesn't bother me as bad as it would in Shadow of War, for example, because that entire mode is cooperative. So it feels shitty for me to have to buy something, but if someone has spent $100 or more on that game, opening all of the top level packs to get all of the best stuff, it's benefiting me. So I still think it's shitty, but at least it's not hurting me.
Yeah, well, I just remember Dragon Age. Granted, this is not really the same thing, but The guy sitting in your camp advertising DLC.
Yeah.
Oh, and to
Although I
think
have,
that was egregious back then, and now.
I always thought that was kind of clever though. Like instead of going to a separate menu or somewhere else, he's just right there. It's like, hey, you want to go on this adventure? The DLC pack, and you just pay like $5, and then he takes you on the adventure.
He should have appeared after the DLC was bought, not, you know, be an advertising board. That's my opinion on it, at least.
Yeah, I mean it was,
or even okay if you want to have him there and have him talking about this great adventure, but not say, well, we could go check out this castle if you buy this DLC. Just say, there's rumors surrounding about this castle, and if anyone's really interested in it, googling it will tell you. Oh, so that's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
and not be immersion breaking.
Yeah. Another thing that would alleviate some of the anger and frustration over the microtransactions is knowing what the normal currency drop rate is. Again, using Mass Effect as an example, because it's my most recent multiplayer game that has microtransactions in it, is even at the lowest difficulty mission, as long as you win a mission, you get enough currency to buy the base level pack. So on the lowest difficulty, as long as you don't fail, every mission you'll be able to open a new pack. And the basic pack has, I mean, a chance for everything, but you're most likely just to get common stuff. But at least it's not like, well, I got to do like 10 missions to open a pack. So the amount of normal in-game currency they give you is still enough that it doesn't feel real shitty. Like they're they're really encouraging me to pay something.
Yeah, I do have to wonder if we're heading towards a situation where the U.S. government's going to start stepping into a lot of this stuff, because there's a lot of gambling going on in games these days with different systems.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something to really consider, especially when games are marketed towards a younger demographic.
Yeah. I mean, now that I'm going into a lot of kids' homes for my job, I'm seeing kids playing these games more all the time and, spending 20, 30, 40, 50. I had one kid that spent $100 on shark cards for GTA 5. I'm like, why? You have all day where you play this game. Just why are you like begging your grandmother for money to spend on shark cards? But I mean, the kids get hooked. They're, these game developers are not stupid. They're hooking into that those addiction, the addictive tendencies in kids to do that stuff and just giving and just milking it, and it's terrible. It pisses me off every time.
Which makes me wonder, when these kids grow up to be the general consumers, is this going to be the norm? I really hope not, but I'm from a far older generation when DLC I was already an adult gaming when DLC first started popping up, and I remember joking about horse armor. Now that's just the least of our problems.
Yeah, I mean, how old was I? Horse armor was in the
Oblivion.
Yeah, I was like 15 or 16, something like that. And I thought
so
it was.
So you kind of grew up with DLC, not as much. You remember before DLC, and I realize Oblivion wasn't the first game with DLC, but it was the first real big kerfuffle about it. This is bullshit. You could just mod this in. It's not worth. What was horse armor, like $2 or $3?
It was $5.
Okay, I can't remember if it was a cheaper one or if it was a full $5.
Yeah, it was $5, and you got 2 sets of armor: an elven set and a steel set
for free, and then you had to buy the rest. Unlock the vendor.
Yeah. But
and the thing is, the only thing it did really was, outside of cosmetic, was to increase the health on your horse. And if you did the Dark Brotherhood quest, you had an invincible horse.
Yeah, but Shadowmere looked pretty badass with the elven armor, because the black with red eyes and the gold armor, it looked pretty good, I have to say.
I prefer my horse running around naked.
I didn't buy the DLC pack.
I mean, I've technically bought it because I got the Game of the Year edition and it has it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I bought the Game of the Year edition later on that had everything. I think the only DLC that I bought initially for not Morrowind, Oblivion was Shivering Isles. But then
Yeah,
later
which
on, I
that
got
was a
the.
really good. That's considered one of the best expansion packs out there. So
Actually, I bought What was it? Knights of the Nine,
yeah, also
which was still a
pretty
really good DLC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a pretty good adventure as well. I
Um.
remember if you had a particularly dickish character, you had to go repaint yourself, which was hilarious.
Yeah. It's good. Good stuff. But I mean, those were more like expansion level content, which I was familiar with expansions. I had been PC gaming for. I went through this phase as a kid where I did tons of PC gaming, and then as a teenager, console, and then now as an adult, mostly PC gaming. So young me knew what was up. Adolescent me was just rebelling.
Well, to be fair, consoles back in the day compared to what consoles are now are two completely different things.
That's true. They were much more powerful in comparison to, or relative to what you could get for roughly the same money.
And also, there was not nearly the level of added bullshit.
Yeah. Also, when I started playing PC games, I mean, Steam wasn't a thing, which that's very recent. But I'm young enough that if I'd started playing PC games later in my life, Steam would have existed, and I wouldn't have known a world without Steam. But I mean, I remember buying PC games on discs or what was it, Direct to Drive? Does that still exist?
No.
I had a few games that I'd purchased on Direct to Drive, and I was like, I can download my games anywhere on any of my computers. It was amazing. And I would like take my laptop to school where the internet was, I mean, shitty, but better than my internet at home because for the longest time I had dial-up because I lived out in the middle of nowhere. Download an album all night. You wake up and realize that the connection had gotten disconnected and you only got like half of your songs.
Yeah, not even the good half.
Spending all night trying to download the Star Wars mod for Homeworld 2.
And then only to have a file corrupted.
Yeah. Many times. It's terrible. Dial-up sucks, guys. It's terrible. Anyone who's
don't
never...
worry, it's I'm sure us losing net neutrality isn't going to be absolutely terrible.
Yeah. No. I don't want to be any more sad. I don't want to be sad. Do we have more to add to this discussion? Because we've gotten like way off track again.
Well, I'm just remembering probably the best analog to this really would be what was it, Dead Space 3? I mean, granted, it wasn't loot boxes, but you're able to buy additional resources in the game through microtransactions.
I mean, there's a lot of games that do that now, though.
Yeah, but that was also one of the first to do that. And didn't that cause some problems with how the game was balanced if you weren't buying in?
I have no idea. I was never big into Dead Space.
I intend to play it at some point. I realize horror games, so I'm going to be absolutely terrible at it and likely quit about halfway through the first one. If I get that far. But that's where I keep coming back to this, is how is this going to affect the balance of things? Because it's not even just items, it's not just currency, it's not even just experience boost, but it also is generals for your army, it's your army in general, which are two separate things. It's weapons, it's pretty much anything in the game. And they have come out and said, at least for now, I mean, the thing is, I don't trust Warner Brothers at this point. And that's also, probably part of the reason why I really don't like the system, is that you also have to have a level of trust with the company. But they have said that there's nothing in the boxes that isn't in the game itself. That all the loot boxes are a time skip. Which, how much of a time skip? I mean, to get, the most powerful bow in the game, or most powerful sword, or the strongest Auric general, how long is that compared to plopping down $50?
Yeah. I mean, I don't... I'm with you. I don't trust Warner Brothers. I haven't trusted Warner Brothers for a long time with many things. They're just kind of all around shit right now. But yeah, I don't know. Because if it was just the multiplayer aspect of the game, I would say, well, I mean, at the very least, you can just avoid the multiplayer portion of the game, and then you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, because it's stuff for your army that goes on in single player as well, then it is creeping into and affecting the single player game balance. Which, yeah, you can say all day, well, I mean, just don't do it. You don't have to worry about it. But I mean,
You just grind some more.
it's always going to be there, and they will have clearly, absolutely messed with the game balance. Even if it's not a lot in the single player mode, it's still there, and there's just going to be this creeping encouragement, like, hey, you can play that, you can buy that, it'll speed it up for you.
And also the added thing of this is becoming more and more the norm, and this is a trend that I definitely hate.
Yeah,
I mean, well, you said it yourself. They're getting the kids, which feels so damn scummy.
yeah,
I don't like saying things are evil. Well, most of the time. But, this feels like such an evil practice.
yeah. Just that's corporations being corporations. I mean, I don't have a problem with corporations when they're properly regulated, but particularly in the United States,
Well,
they're not.
Well,
And
that's
they
the
get
thing
away with this
also
stuff.
is, there's no percentages here. You're not seeing, okay, to get the legendary stuff, have a 1% chance or a 0.5% chance. There's, well, at least for most games, there's no chances listed. And this is a lottery. I mean, how can you say it's not a lottery, right?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is.
Really hate saying this because it just invites a lot more problems. But I do think that eventually we are going to have to get to the point where it has to be legislated what loot boxes contain, and the fact that there's at least some sort of list of chances. I hate bringing the government into this because I know that there's going to be some shitty stuff in the background, and I hate invoking the government in general on regulation like this.
Yeah,
Mostly because I remember the big hoopla before the ESRB and watching, well, I didn't watch it at the time, but looking back and seeing Sega and Nintendo throw each other under the bus trying to talk about how games don't need to be regulated. Did you ever watch those hearings or even just little highlights of those?
no, I mean, I've read about them, but I've never watched them.
There's some comedy gold in there. Basically, Nintendo was trying to say that Sega is this big evil corporation because they have violence in their games. They were actually almost in favor of the ESRB because it would, be in their favor, Because Nintendo, at least at the time, I mean, they're still mostly a family-friendly company, unless you discount the idea that they once had a chain of love hotels. And yes, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, I know what a love hotel is.
Well, not everybody's a whore like you.
Fair enough. Or, knows much about Japanese culture, I guess.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Hotel by the hour, if you need that long. But I'm just remembering back then and just how close the gaming industry got to a severe lockdown over games being too realistic and too violent. Yes, I realize the irony of that in the mid to early 90s compared to today. But there has to be something done, and I don't think this could be a voluntary industry thing because there's way too much money involved.
All the money.
Unless there's something done retail-wise, which retail isn't even that big a thing anymore. Outside of some console stuff, and even then, consoles are going more digital as well. That's why the ESRB got such a foothold, or one of the major reasons in the US, was that Walmart said that they wouldn't carry a game that doesn't have an ESRB rating and is mature or under. That's one of the major factors. The big box retailers kind of gave the industry that push into voluntary regulation. And I just don't see that factor anymore unless something like Valve steps in, which, there's a segue for us.
Yeah. One, good luck with that. And two, let's go talk about Valve's big announcement, Artifact, their new game, which is a Dota trading card game.
Okay, before we get started, I've done a lot of research. I mean, a lot of research. And I've determined it is not the 1st of April.
Yes, you are correct. It is not the 1st of April.
Can you imagine if they announced this on April 1st?
I mean, that would have been pretty great. There would have been many Half-Life 3 memes made. People would be rejoicing. Haha, good joke. Lol. But instead, there's a collective...
What? Well, there is going to be a link in the show notes to the crowd reaction at the... it was the Dota Invitational, I believe it was, where they played the trailer on their big screen. And, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like you can feel this collective swell. Like, they're announcing a new game, a new IP. This is gonna be awesome. And then the Dota trading card or the Dota card game pops up underneath the logo, and everyone's just like, oh, like. I mean, that's exactly how I felt when I saw the release. I was like, ooh, a new game, a new announcement from Valve. I like all the games that they've released.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
This will be good.
Let's put it this way: it was,
and then,
it was so comedic timing perfect that I started looking around to see if that was an edited video.
Yeah,
someone saying, "Oh no, that's just an edit. They replaced the crowd noise." No, and if you look at the trailer itself, well, first of all, it is your standard industry AAA trailer. Slowly zooming past random elements of the icon before pulling back and showing the game logo and then the disappointing subtitle. And no gameplay whatsoever. No info whatsoever. Well, there was some info given on Day 9 stream, which, the fact that Day 9 was there should be a hint that something was going on because he's been pretty big in the Hearthstone community. And I will say that based on some of the stuff that some of the info coming from that, assuming it's all correct, because I haven't found a proper write-up of it in any of the major gaming news sites, it actually sounds interesting. It's not going to be a Hearthstone clone if this pans out. But, it's a card game now? I mean, card games now are what MOBAs were, 4 years ago, then kart racers, then MMOs, then Modern Warfare Modern Warfare shooters were more recent. World War II shooters in the early 2000s. I mean,
yeah, they're a big trend right now, and I haven't seen anything that you've seen about it not being like a generic sort of...
if the rumors are true, because trust but verify here. All right, I'm invoking that rule.
Okay.
It's supposed to play like a full Dota game, where you're playing across 3 boards with hero cards that you control different champions, item cards that you equip to your champions. You're summoning creeps and moving them around. You're able to cast on the different lanes. I mean, it actually sounds like a real mix-up of the CCC genre.
So it sounds like what they've done is they've taken that Elder Scrolls card game and then added some more complexity to it.
Yeah, essentially. Well, my favorite CCG card game, CCG card game, that's like ATM machine, right?
Yeah.
My favorite CCG is Varia right now, which is a CCG very loosely, where it's a strategy game with the collectible card game elements. And them doing something like that where they're able to take a bigger risk because, yeah, this could be a loss leader potentially, is intelligent, but boy, did they handle the announcement poorly. Oh.
Yeah. I would have not made this a gigantic announcement. Like, I'm not, like, totally bummed out at the idea. I like CCGs and TCGs and whatever CGs that they, add another letter to change the acronym. Like, I like that style of game quite a bit.
I wasn't too big on the prequel trilogy. I mean, that was a lot of CG.
Touche. I like that style of game, and I'm interested to check this one out. But just the way they announced it, I was thinking, oh man, new IP, new something. This sounds great. Big announcement. Oh, it's gonna be a card game, right? Well, shit. And I mean, especially since it's Dota. Like, I have never played Dota, not once, and I never will. I don't like.
I haven't played Dota. I played League of Legends a little bit, but I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I've played League of Legends also, and I've played.
Well, here I'll anger players. If you played League of Legends, you've essentially played Dota. I realize that's not completely true, but it's the same general rule set.
Yeah, and I don't like League of Legends. I don't like MOBAs in general. I don't, and then the communities are pretty bad for those games.
Well, I definitely understand why the communities can be festering pile of shit. Is that you're invested in an hour-long game where individual performance is such a key factor in your team's performance. I mean, I could definitely understand why it's such a high-stress environment, but, it's a fucking game. Get over yourself.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, I'll check this game out, especially if it's free. I assume it'll be free to play. Most of these games are. But,
that's something else that I didn't even consider. What if this is a paid thing?
I mean, there's games that are doing it. Isn't Gwent a paid game, or is it free to play?
I have no idea. I haven't been following Gwent at all.
Gwent.
I didn't play Witcher 3, so I wasn't enamored with Gwent,
Nope, it's free. It's free to play.
Yeah, I can't even think of a free-to-play CCG.
You mean a paid?
Sorry, a paid. I mean, they're all have some sort of free model to them. I mean, unless you start getting into the weird, hybrids where it's like, there was the Dungeon Crawler CCG that I did a Sunday sampler on like 2 or 3 months ago. But granted, that's completely different, And that's a single-player game. That's not a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Which, that's the thing, is that the genre had, and bonus points for anyone that comes up with a proper phrase using that many C's. There is a lot of game elements there that can be used in other genres that isn't just a multiplayer, bashing one another over the head with cards of varying, I'll win. See Hearthstone for that. Oh, some of the stuff that Hearthstone's pulling these days. I really don't understand how people are playing that still.
Well, CCGs to me are a lot like match 3 puzzle games. Like, you can use those elements in a lot of different ways, but so many games stick to the, I guess you would say, formula or the generic or the easy road with it, So, I mean...
Or just add tits.
I am perfectly okay with that. Please, add tits. All the tits. Big ones. And small ones, get some variety in there.
As long as they're a lovely bunch of coconuts.
Oh, all standing in a row.
Oh, why do I have a feeling I just named this episode?
I was going to call it Mini Pod, but I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts works as well. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Do-do-do-do.
I just
standing in a row.
I just think I had an idea for the Patreon.
What?
Make a milestone, and if we keep above that milestone, you never sing again.
God, that would be terrible for me. That's gonna have to be a pretty high milestone. I'm thinking like $1,000 a month. If we ever get $1,000 a month, I will gladly stop singing or edit out every instance where I break the rule and sing. I'll do that for $1,000 a month. Bet your ass I'll do that.
Oh well, I just think I funded our podcast for the next decade.
I hope so. If we're making $1,000 a month, this is funding more than just the podcast. I mean, like $150 to $200 a year is enough to fund the podcast and the couple of things that we've talked about adding, which we haven't officially announced yet, so I won't say. But that's all it takes. Everything above and beyond that, we can just pocket or reinvest, or I don't know.
We'd have to reinvest.
We'd have to make more than that. But, I mean, if we're getting $1,000 a month, we're definitely pocketing some of that. Got bills to pay. Got games I want to buy. So, yeah, that's Valve, though, and what they're doing.
Yeah, I will say that it is quite amazing the like-to-dislike ratio on the official trailer.
It's not as high as Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, but it's pretty high.
Yeah, really. But then again, there are also two very different trailers. The Call of Duty one at least gives you an idea of theme and what's going on. This is literally just CG, which, yes, I realize the other one is technically CG as well. But it's, no info whatsoever other than Artifact, a Dota 2 card game. I wonder if it would have been a lot more interesting if it was a Valve card game and it was from all the properties.
Every property everything's being sold on Steam?
No, well, I meant, Valve's IPs.
Oh, okay. But there's a lot of stuff there still, though. That'd be great, actually. That'd be fun. Could make it super silly. Bring in TF2 and
especially,
Half-Life and...
I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it serious if with TF2, Half-Life, which has some oddity to it to begin with, and especially Portal. I mean, just the combination of those three.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do that, Valve. Do that instead.
Maybe it's just we have some emotional investment in those characters instead of whatever the hell the Dota 2 champions, heroes, things are. But what's the proper term for the Dota 2 player characters?
I don't know. Because League of Legends, are they champions in League of Legends?
I have no idea and have little care about it. It's one of those things that different terms for the same thing. Maybe that's why. Okay, tangent time. Maybe that's why Dota 2 and League of Legends, outside of their own niche of their player base, is such a hard thing to try to sell as an esport. Is the fact that they're using inside baseball terms, they're using different terms for the same exact fucking thing. Because you have turrets, you have towers, which are the same thing. You have heroes and champions, which are the same thing. You have just team names are completely different. And there's no standardization of what's going on top of it being a rather complex game to begin with.
Indeed. So Dota 2 is heroes. League of Legends is champions.
So, well, let's put it this way. Let's take your mom.
Okay, let's take my mom. Where are we taking her?
Please. And you set her down in front of a game of two professional teams playing Rocket League. How long do you think it'll take for her to get a grasp of what's going on?
Not very long. I could pretty much just say, okay, Mom, this game is car soccer. And she would get it.
Now imagine if she was trying to watch Dota 2.
Oh, she would be confused.
Especially considering Dota has different phases as well, where there's different strategies used by the different teams.
I mean, hell, I play games regularly and know about Dota and League of Legends, and I'm still confused.
Yeah, maybe this is part of the problem.
I mean, MOBAs are kind of their own little niche is the wrong word. They're sort of a separate entity unto
Their
themselves.
own genre.
Yeah. I mean, most people. I mean, well, maybe not. Maybe most people's the wrong way to say it, but I think in general, the people who play MOBAs a lot, League, Dota, and Heroes of the Storm, those are really the biggest ones. And I guess shoot, I said it earlier. Help me out here. The one that's third
Smite?
person. Yeah, Smite. Those are kind of the four that everyone knows. Most people that play those games
And I
don't
would
play
throw
very many other
probably
games.
Heroes
that I
of
know
New
of.
Earth as well. I don't think you said that one.
I've never heard of Heroes of New Earth.
That's before Smite. That was kind of the third wheel. It's the same basic idea.
Okay. But, I mean, anyways, those people, I think, tend to play less games outside of those wheelhouses. And probably they only play one, maybe two, because if you're going to be good and have a large, unless you buy in and just buy a bunch of characters, you've got to play them a lot to unlock all the characters.
Yeah, and that's that's a problem that's also going to affect Artifact, is that card games also require either a lot of time or a lot of money, or both, to be able to be even hope to be competitive. And you don't see a lot of cross-pollination. I mean, you see a little bit, but typically if someone's a major Hearthstone player, they're sticking with Hearthstone, just like how WoW was. You didn't see a lot of people playing another MMO unless they quit WoW completely. It was very rare to see someone playing more than one MMO. And I think that's going to be a big problem going forward as we get more and more and more of these card games coming out until the next fad comes along.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. What about the next fad will be? Although we probably shouldn't start that conversation because I'm starting to yawn a whole lot. So maybe we can think about that for another time. Maybe a general topic, speculating about a few future things like next fad and.
Oh, let's see. I'll probably have to pick something that I absolutely hate.
Probably. All right.
Well, I know already.
Okay, go ahead. Just
a rhythm game where you spin your fidget spinner in time into the music.
Sounds amazing.
And speaking of music,
well, do we have any tweets or anything this week? Actually,
I didn't collect them because you said that we were skipping the community corner entirely.
Oh, okay. I thought we were just gonna skip Jim's email, but you know what? That's cool. We'll just skip it entirely. We'll cue the music. But yeah, Jim sent in a rather lengthy email, and because we're doing a short episode this week, we just decided to hold off until next week so that we can give it full attention. So, Discovery Queue time. Right.
And I have a kind of a winner right off maybe a winner. It's the new season of the Telltale series for Batman. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that the Batman Telltale game supposedly was pretty good, but it ran like absolute shit. So, yeah, it's kind of a flip side there. And Telltale, I really want them to do better. Well, for one, I want them to do point-and-click games again and not their Telltale games. But, yeah, it's just going to be down to, can this game actually run? And they're also going to be focusing on the Riddler, which is one of the more interesting characters that you don't see a lot of. Unless, it's the Arkham series, where he's some sort of magical being that could put Riddler trophies all over the fucking place. I'm surprised that they didn't have one literally up Batman's ass.
They probably did. It's in the DLC. I got what looks like an interesting game on my first pull, too. Victorum.
Oh, I just got that as well on my second.
An open world magic RPG, like where you're a mage.
Yeah, Factorum is an action RPG featuring destructible environments. So it's interesting. It's just, what can they do with it? Because it looks like they're going to try to lead on procedural generation, which procedural generation definitely could be there eventually, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
That's why my game pitch, even though it did factor in some procedural generation, not something I would want to play yet.
Yeah, it looks like you can it's got a freeform-ish magic system where you can combine spells and create your own spells and stuff, which is pretty interesting. I like that. And then, yeah, destructible environments blow everything up.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all what the trailer is.
Red faction with magic. That's what I think that's the sort of the advertising thing they're going for. Which I'm in. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts about the Red Faction series, just blowing up literally everything. So.
Yeah, I remember just testing it out. I went up to a building with a sledgehammer and slowly worked my way around it.
Yeah.
Is
this a JRPG? A new JRPG?
Legend of Hero Trails of Cold Steel.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Well, I was putting it on my list. So I beat you to it.
I'm in.
Well, this is, I think this is the third game in this series, if I recall correctly. I don't know a lot about it. This is a game series that's been on my radar for a while to pick up at some point, but it's just I haven't yet. It does look very impressive, though, doesn't it?
It looks good. I'm in.
And some more games you played? Victoria Chronicles.
Yeah, it's got that for me as well as Final Fantasy 13.
Okay. Huh. Well, this is interesting. This is called the Shrouded Owl. This looks like it's from a Game Boy game, only with higher resolution. Just put the...
Okay.
Let's see this... What is this? It's Lovecraftian horror simulation. It's a management game of some sort.
I thoroughly dislike the color palette.
It could definitely be either a game breaker or a selling point, and I'm not sure which it is for me, because I definitely played my share of Game Boy games, and I'm talking Game Boy, as in the original Game Boy, the Great Brick of Death. You could beat someone to death with it, and then sit there and play Tetris while you wait for the police to show up.
Yeah. It doesn't quite look like that, though, because
I'm just talking color-wise.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying, color-wise. It feels more, because, maybe this is just my memory messing with me, but I felt like the original Game Boy was more gray and black. This is more green.
Oh, the original Game Boy was green.
Okay, then yeah, I guess I'm just misremembering.
Unless I'm misremembering. Now I'm going to go look.
Well, while you go look, I'll talk about the next game that I found.
It's not as quite as bright a green, but it's definitely green.
Okay. So, the next game on my list, actually, literally the next game after the JRPG, is called Saurian, as in, dinosaur. What, is that on your list, too?
I just got that.
This looks right up my alley, a dinosaur survival simulator. And you know what? I'm in. Love dinosaurs.
So in other words, Ark only you're back further in the early access.
Yeah, survival. Start as a hatchling, eat, drink, and grow to an adult while avoiding predators and hazards.
So you are the dinosaur.
Yeah, you are the dinosaur.
Okay, so there's the change. That's interesting. I got that literally after you said it.
Yeah, I'm in. I want to be a dinosaur.
I'll give you that one at least.
One of my favorite books as a kid to read was Raptor Red, which is, if you don't know, is a book written from the perspective of a baby velociraptor as it goes through its life and grows up. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, just a quick question. At what point in the book does it learn to open the doors to be able to get into the kitchens to try to eat the kids?
Towards the end of the book. It becomes very smart and conniving once it's an adult.
Oh boy, I just got Dark Elf, and if you haven't seen Dark Elf, it's basically the latest anime boob RPG Maker game.
I like anime boobs. I got Shrouded Isles.
Well, this is even a good one, you know.
I like anime boobs. Yep.
I mean, I have
That's
nothing against it. It's just, I also have a level of quality that I want in my anime boob games,
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, so we're basically getting the same games in our Discovery queue now.
At least some of I guess the.
Yeah, that's my Discovery queue.
Ooh. Damascus Gear Operation Tokyo HD. I'm shopping you a link.
I think I
right
passed over
now.
that one myself.
I'm in on mech combat. This is looks like a top-down or maybe isometric mech combat game. Is this hack and slash or turn-based? Let's see.
Oh yeah, I saw this and I kind of passed over it because I wasn't sure about it.
Hack it, yeah, it's an ARPG, which normally I don't like, but like I've said many times before, sci-fi and mecha definitely on my radar. Let's see, it's $13. It'd probably be like $5 or $6 on a sale. I'd buy this for that on a gamble. Hell, honestly, if I had $13, I'd probably buy it right now in my sleepy, delirious state.
And then never play it because it gets lost in your library.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got a couple of games left. Not my thing. Oh, here's Dark Elf. Yeah, look at those anime boobs.
Terrible quality, huh?
That's fine. It's good enough for me. Yep.
And the thing is, we are logged into our own accounts, right?
Add to wish list.
It's
40% off. It's only $2.40. I might buy it. Not right now. I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll sleep on that and let it sit till tomorrow. Yeah, that was. Wait, what is this? The Einar? Player takes on the role of Einar, who is on a quest to kill the inhabitants of a Norse fishing village who are infected with a mysterious material. Is this a free-to-play Norse murder simulator?
You have my attention.
I'm watching the trailer right now. Alright, third person. What kind of combat have we got here? Difficult to say. Maybe Assassin's Creed or Arkham style combat. Looks to be a bit fast, so I'm leaning more towards Assassin's Creed, but it doesn't, at least the way they're showing it off, it doesn't look like it's freeform. Coming to PS4 and PC. And PC meaning Steam. Oh god, the voice acting's terrible. You know what? This actually looks kind of like a AA level RPG.
Voice acting typically is one of the major things to suffer in a AA game.
Because it looks good. It looks quite smooth and pretty, and I'd have to check it out to see. But hell, it's free to play. If this is a decent game, I could deal with shitty voice acting. I can deal with shitty voice acting in general. I'll put that on my list. That's pretty good. I'll have to check it out. Einor. E-I-N-O-R. or E-I-N-A-R. Einar.
M-O-U-S-C.
That's a nifty looking little game. That's a good... I almost skipped over it. It was the last game on my list, and then I was like, he looks like a Viking.
Does he have a spirit magic helmet?
He does not. He does have a rather large beard, though. Is that a braid?
Well, maybe he could be a dwarf, then.
I think he's got a braid. He does. He has a braid, yeah. I'm in. I'm in on this one. Free to play. I'll be downloading that tonight when we're done.
Oh, boy. Oh, at least you got something.
I had... this was much better than last time. Last time it took me, 5 queues to get 2 games? And this time I got 4.
Yeah, but
and I would have had more, but you beat me to a couple of them because we had some of the same games in our queue.
Some of the same games. We had, 4 or 5 of the same game?
Yeah.
That was another odd queue. Hey, at least it wasn't all F1.
Yeah, that's a positive for you.
I still can't believe that it did that one time. Okay, you don't want that F1 game. Here, how about this F1 game? Not that year either. Shit. How about this one?
F1 game is love. F1 game is life. Alright, well with that wrapped up, let's move on to the portion of the podcast where I go first, where we talk about our stuff. I was very unproductive over the weekend, like I mentioned at the start of the show. Sick
Wait, this is
kid,
different?
kid surgery. So I don't know. There'll be some stuff on my YouTube channel, probably just Divinity this week. And you can find that stuff by going to YouTube and searching for Gaming Psychologist. You'll find me. You'll find my stuff. I would appreciate a little subscribey YB. That's right, I said it. Subscribey YB. I'm at 105, so it's going up at like 1 or 2 subs a week over the last few weeks. So I'm quite pleased about that. Thank you all for coming and subscribing. If you're listeners to the show, I quite appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you'd follow me on Twitter. You can do so at JMA4707, where I tweet all kinds of things. Today, actually, I tweeted like a really random video that I took because I had several no-shows at the clinic, and I did all of my paperwork, and I was very bored. And because I see kids, I have toys. I had a toy dragon, so I was doing like really, really bad dragon
Yeah,
sounds.
well, I have a feeling that was a Game of Thrones spoiler.
I mean, it kind of slightly was, but if
I have no clue what's going on in that show, and honestly, don't really care. I only read and watched the first book and season, and there was this long delay between the first and the second season. Never picked it back up, and I heard that the books are even more delay written in between books, and the story's not even close to finish, so didn't even bother.
Last night's episode was for anyone who listens that watches Game of Thrones and is maybe behind or something. Last night's episode was as good as Battle of the Bastards, the Red Wedding episode. I can't remember its actual episode title, but the Red Wedding episode. It was great. It was a very high production quality, action-packed episode. So, I mean, it was like a very teeny tiny spoiler from that episode, but I gave like no context, and I didn't really say much because I was mostly making dragon noises. So, there you go. But I thought it was funny. I went back and watched it when I was a little bit more tired, and I was like, I'm dumb. It was funny. Anyways, if you want to see that and all the other stuff I post on Twitter, which is like 50 to 75% political tweets and then 25% whatever, you can do so at JMA4707, like I already mentioned, but we got a little bit off track. And speaking of getting off track...
I'm glad we're keeping that to just once or twice this time around.
Yep, and speaking of getting off track, I do it all the time over on Twitch, where I'm supposed to do one stream a week, but many things get in the way, and I lost my stream schedule, so I've got to redo that. But if you want to see...
How can you lose your stream schedule? I mean, it's literally once a week.
Well, my game schedule.
Oh.
So, if you want to come watch whatever it is we're streaming on Friday nights, you can do so at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. If you want to be a friend on Steam, I accept all Steam friend requests and talk to all of you lovely, lovely, beautiful, wonderful people. My Steam username is jarthur4707. Send me a friend request. I'll be your friend.
And if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, the password for this week is Sad Trombone.
Okay.
Because that was the only thing I could think of to top that crowd noise and that reveal. Just the sad trombone.
Fair enough. All right. What about you, buddy? What's going on your stuff, and where can the lovely people find you?
Well, you can find me over at Gaming with Caffeine Rage, where I have pretty much my full allotment right now running. I skipped a Sunday sampler, mostly because I just woke up with almost a hangover headache, but I don't drink. Not any moral superiority on that. It's just, I just never felt the urge to drink, despite my heritage. And by the time I got rid of my migraine headache that I woke up with, I had no time to really put any effort into a video for Sunday, so I just decided to skip a week. Plus, I didn't exactly have anything of decent quality, and I'm not quite at the point where I start picking the absolute worst I have in my review list and start just shitting on things. I haven't gone full Jim Sterling yet. Not yet, at least. Let's see. Well, let's just go right down the list. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 3. I would say maybe a third of the way through the game. Give or take. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot shorter series than the other two, though. At least the way things are going. And I'm still kind of up in the air about it. It's just, the combat lacks any real weight. It just feels like I'm there. Granted, the writing is still fairly decent, but it's some of the worst ARPG writing I've seen, and I've seen a fair amount. Let's see, RimWorld. Resetted. We're with the Victims of Circumstance now in Bitter End, which I absolutely love my town name.
It's pretty good. Bitter End.
And we have a nice coastal village with our first 3 people, and hopefully more in the coming weeks. Assuming that the series goes on long enough, because I picked a place that has some fairly decently cold winters. And RimWorld, cold snap in a cold winter can be very deadly. So we'll have to see how things go there. But we have a new mod assortment, a new version number, and a lot of fun going on. Oh, my last recording session had some interesting things. And, well, Divinity is probably past the halfway point now. And I'm going to have to figure out some editing tricks to do with that monster episode that we had to split it. And I think I know what I'm going to do. And
okay.
If you want, I'll tell you off air and see if you want me to try to figure it out for you as well. But it's just one of those things that it amused me too much to not do. And you can find all of that, including, well, this podcast and the Sunday Sampler, which will hopefully be returning this week, because I have an interesting thing to at least try out. We'll have to see how it records over at Gaming with Caffeine Rage. Or you can find me on Twitter, Gaming with CR, where I tweet somewhat randomly. My latest tweet was talking about the one redeeming quality of summer, tomatoes. Mostly because I woke up and there was a mosquito flying around my room, and I had like a mosquito bite on the back of my hand. It's just the one redeeming factor. I get good tomatoes during this summer. That's it. The kids are out and they're loud. It's hot. It's humid. The sun's out for far longer. But at least I get decent tomatoes.
Fair enough.
And, well, that brings us to the end of the show. If you wish to contact us, even though we skipped over the community corner this week, mostly just due to time constraints and trying to get Jared to Betty by before too long, at least, you can email us, vglpodcast@gmail.com, with your letters, voicemails, and gaming-related topics, or just tweet us, VGLPodcast, on the Twitter. If you wish to help pay for this absolute madness and get to that stretch goal of getting Jared to shut up on singing, I think we should put that on there. What do you think?
Yeah, we absolutely should put that on there.
It's patreon.com/VGLPodcast. And if you wish to catch our RSS feed, if you're listening to us on one of our YouTube channels or somewhere that doesn't have the RSS feed and you wish to get the show notes, it's vglpodcast.podbean.com, or you just find us on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever that Jared has stuck us for the other options for RSS. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our discovery cue is Doobly Doo by the same artist.
And, as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice...
Well, I was pausing for the chuckle, actually. I guess you're too tired for it. Or it's worn off. His music is over on Computech.com. Okay,
and now his lovely music starts to roll across my voice.
As you screw up the outro.
Bye-bye now.
Well, at least it's the outro that you screwed up this time instead of the intro.
Bye-bye.